Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
What's up, people? Welcome to our very first episode of the TV Terminal. This is it. This is our first show on this new channel. We're thrilled, and we'll get into everything right now. My name is Adam Vale. I am a senior editor over at thecoalition.com.
My name is Lawrence Larry, aka a Punk with Toys, on Instagram and clearly on YouTube, because if anyone knows where I'm from, that's mostly where you get me. That's where you get to see me in that. I guess
there you go. I mean, yeah, you'll get familiar with him. You'll visit it and see his content. A lot of cool reviews and
lots of toys. If you can't tell already,
he's got a few. I have a few, but he's got a few. Yeah, we don't have problems. We don't have any problems.
Some people say a few too many. I don't believe this. I don't believe you can have too many toys.
Right? There's no such thing. Right. So yes, people. If you don't know, we originally got together. We joined forces to work on Reacher. If you know Reacher, that's the Amazon Prime show. Fantastic show. We love that show. So we just finished covering Reacher season 3, which wrapped up. That's over on the Coalition. You can go check that out. It's also on Spotify and Apple Music, all that stuff. Right, it's there. But once that wrapped up, and we saw the engagement, and we saw the people that were tuning in, it was like, hey, we want to do some more of these things. We have other shows. We're constantly talking about shows that we're watching. And we're like, let's create something just for that. And that's what this, the TV Terminal is that. This is the terminal where you can come in, and we are talking about shows like we plan on talking about with 1923. We plan on covering how that's going about. When Landman comes back for season 2, that's already been confirmed. We're jumping on that. Of course, now we got MobLand, and there's a few other ones that we're looking at, and we're going to be also covering maybe some movies that we were watching, or maybe get some people that are within our realm, or other friends or other people that are interested in certain things that we plan on covering. But it's predominantly it's our channel. It's myself, it's Lawrence. You're going to see us. This is it.
Yeah, so we did this on the Coalition, which is something that Adam is part of, and we just had good chemistry, and we watched the numbers; they did really well, and we wanted to continue. We wanted to continue the process. Unfortunately, with something like Reacher, when we did Talking Reacher, we had screeners, which meant we got to watch ahead of time. We don't have it with this, so we will be watching MobLand the day of recording it and then dropping it later on that night. And I gotta say, I watched the first episode, and I think this is a hell of a show to be starting off this new channel with, because I think it's gonna be special.
Oh yeah, and it's new, so it's not like, oh, it's a series that's coming back another season. Some people are familiar with it. A lot of people are not. This is right off. It's on Paramount Plus. Some people don't have Paramount Plus. I don't know if it's coming to the mainland, the cable channels. From the violence that we've witnessed, I doubt it.
I don't think it matters, because 1923 and it was 1879 or whatever. And Landman, it doesn't matter. Like, those shows are doing well on Paramount Plus. It is one of Paramount Plus.
Acknowledge the creator, Taylor. Acknowledge the creator. He is killing it with these ideas and these shows.
You see a lot of these, in my personal opinion, you see a lot of these channels, a lot of these stations that are now creating their own channels. And other than Netflix, Prime, Disney Plus, which obviously owns Hulu also, I don't know how well they're all doing. Maybe Max. Paramount Plus is like this one little one. It's like the little engine that could, because they pretty much locked Taylor Sheridan in a basement and said, you only can make stuff for us these days.
Yeah, I don't want to drift off too much, because remember, there was a big thing with Yellowstone, because originally Paramount didn't want it. They didn't want it. They didn't want it,
Yep.
and then they put it up for sale, and then it ended with the whole Peacock thing, and then it took off, and it was like, oh wow, all right, we want it. Well, you can't have it now. Well, then give us something else, and that's how we got the prequels, 1883 and 1923, and then there's another one on the way, and
Yeah.
then of
So
course,
yeah, when you so just so you guys understand, Paramount Plus it's basically Taylor Sheridan's
oh yes,
network. He has 1923, 1887, whatever it was,
1883, Lioness, Spec
the
Ops,
Lioness, Tulsa King.
Oh, he really Tulsa King,
Tulsa King is created by him too.
Alone, another one that's coming
Obviously,
back.
Landman. What's the other one with Jeremy Red? I can't. Hawkeye.
Oh yeah. Mayor of Kingstown.
Yeah, Mayor of
Mayor of
Kingstown. So
Kingstown.
he's done all that stuff. I just wish it was all put into one universe.
Oh man.
But this
Maybe-
show is not done by him. This is not a U.S. show. This is based.
UK.
Did they even say where?
No,
where
it
it's
just said
based?
in the UK. They didn't throw
In the
any
UK.
big logos, but yeah, we could pretty much tell somewhere in the UK. So.
And I want to say, I again, it starts off good. So you know what?
Well, let's do the fact sheet though. Let's just talk about the fact sheet. The people that are in it. We got Tom Hardy. Everybody knows Tom Hardy. Mad Max. You know, we know him from Batman. You know, he was. Oh
Bane.
man, Bane. That's right. Oh, the people.
Bane, Venom.
Bane, Venom.
He was in Saving Private Ryan.
Saving Private
Not that
Ryan.
anyone remembers
Exactly.
that one of it being in.
Here's Brosnan. We have
Here's Bronson.
007.
Some of you may know him as that. I know him as Remington Steele.
Oh, whoa, deep cut. There we go. There we go. Yeah.
You know, and then we have,
we talked about
some of these people, you know, but
Maeve.
Helen Mirren. That's Maeve, right?
Yeah, that's Maeve.
And she's in 1923.
Mm-hmm.
She was in Red. So even if you don't know some of these names, now you know Pierce Brosnan, you know Tom Hardy. You're going to see Paddy Considine. You're going to know him the moment you see him. So there's already a few actors that are big names.
Yeah.
Not just bit parts that you know. But there's going to be people that you see that you know. So they got a hell of a cast.
Deliver. Hell of a cast.
If the first episode says anything, this is going to be a show that I would say has more than one season.
Unless they really, I don't know, if they just go off the deep end and just drop off. I can't see that happening because just like we just said, the star power and with these people, even if they don't read the scripts, they have very smart people that do read these scripts to make sure that they're putting them in good products, good shows. So I think this one is going to be a hit, just from the brutality and the way that they just nonchalant bring this. And I'm going to bring it.
You know, it's not too much.
No, it's just the cold-heartedness, and even what we're talking with Maeve, which we'll get into when she comes up, and that actress. Oh.
One other person we also forgot to mention, Tommy Flanagan, who seems to have to be in every single UK show. And if you don't know who Tommy Flanagan is, he's Chubbs from Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah.
He was Chubbs, right? He was Chubbs.
I think so. It was with the scar.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can just click on him because I'm looking at IMDb because that's what he is known for. Yes, he was.
There's also I forgot what her name was here, and she was his helper in this show. Zosa, I think Zoisa. She was the one that worked at the car in the garage area. Well, I won't go too much in the store, but anyway, I know her from Top Boy. If anybody ever seen Top Boy, that was a crazy UK show with gangs and all kinds of drug operations. And it was nuts. But she's in that, and she plays a similar type of role here, like an enforcer. She carries a gun, she's shooting, she's doing stuff, you know. And that one, she had these cornrows and stuff. She was no joke. And in this one, she plays also like someone like the muscle.
Zosia.
That's it, Zosia.
Jasmine Jobson. That is her name.
Yes, Josia. So that was
she doesn't
no picture on it. Yeah,
no picture.
I think because she's a badass. That's why she's doing it too. Like, I don't want nobody to see me. But if you look at her sheet, she's worked on a lot of things. She's always working. But another UK based actor out there. But definitely know her from Top Boy. It was another brutal gang show. They do some brutal gang shows out there. But anyway, that's it. We just want to give a little fact sheet so you know who's in this show, because there are some big names and it is worth your time and attention. So if you haven't already and you do have Paramount Plus, go check it out and come back and you can hear us discuss it and we can share our thoughts. You can jump in the comments. And if not, if you just want to get a feel for it, then just listen to us. We're about to break it down, and then you can decide for yourself if this is a show for you.
And before we get started, we are probably going to nitpick some things. And that is because if you sit down and watch any TV show, any movie, and you're writing notes, you are going to nitpick. It is not because we don't like the show. It's because not because we're trying to say, if we don't like the show, we would do maybe the season and be like, I'm done. But we got this with Talking Reacher over the coalition. People said you're nitpicking. Why not just enjoy it? And they're absolutely right, other than we're talking about the show. So, of course, we got to nitpick some stuff, correct?
Just put yourself in our shoes of like you just watched it with your buddy on the couch or whatever, and then you look at each other like, all right, let's talk about this. What did you just see? Did that make any sense? That's exactly it. We're just bringing this obvious questions up.
Now with this, there is no time gap of flying to LA in 2 hours and back all the way from the eastern coast. There's no swimming across an ocean like Reacher used to.
Yeah, he's throwing a lot of the Reacher jabs. These are the issues that he and I had with that show. And no, here, none of that. Even if it did, it doesn't matter because it's England. It's very gloomy. No disrespect for England, but I always feel that it has that rainy, cloudy look all the time.
Yeah, they show that too, I believe.
Yeah, so it's like, well, it's hard to, besides night scenes, I can't really tell what time of day it is because of that. So, hey, it is what it is. But hey, let's get into it. And you know what? Just to make things a little easier, because the show doesn't right away call out people's names. Right, you find out who they are a few scenes later when someone says a person's name, and it's like, oh, okay, that's who that guy is. So once the show starts, we see that there's some kind of meeting of two gangs. We find out they're Turkish, right? They're screaming at each other and stuff.
It's like a meeting of three gangs.
Three gangs. My bad.
Well, we have
we
have Conrad. He's obviously.
Well, he wasn't. That was the thing. I wasn't. They really didn't specify because it made it seem like Tom Hardy. So he's playing the character. His character's name is Harry, right? He's sitting at the head of the table, and he says, "Hey, I'm trying to squash the beef." Yeah,
he's like, a mediator. I would assume for Conrad to get these two. I don't think they're rival gangs or whatever.
They were feuding. He said to squash the beef.
Yeah,
that was his word. Squash the beef. Let's do a handshake. Can you guys do a handshake? And he starts screaming. And
that was the biggest thing, the apology.
Yeah, and he couldn't. They wouldn't apologize. The whole thing. Do a handshake. Can't do it. So, then eventually they agreed.
So Tom Hardy is Harry D'Souza. So we'll just call him Harry.
They all call him Harry. So it's safe to just call him Harry. They don't do the full formal name thing. At least not yet. Still first episode.
So he's talking. He says, "Hey, you know what? Can we shake hands and apologize?" They both agree they'll shake hands, but whoever was at fault says, "I will not apologize." And he says, "But I can shake hands." And he's really working on them. And he keeps saying, well, "We can shake hands." And then we see Harry walk away. He says, "Okay, give me a second." And that's when he walks away. And you can see they're in some sort of, seems like a restaurant or something.
In the basement of something. Yeah, it's like something. Now, that's not Moody's, right? That's not.
No.
Because we find out later on that is like a safe place, equal ground. And
that is the boxing gym.
Yep.
So, he walks away. We see him walk upstairs. And this is the first time that we see Pierce Brosnan, who is Conrad Harrigan. We're just going to call him Conrad because I don't think we need to know his last name.
Yeah. It's just a family. And for the main premise, and this is not a spoiler in the synopsis, it's about two warring factions, two warring families, the Harrigans and the Stevensons.
The Stevensons. As of now.
Yeah. Now we don't know. They're not introduced yet.
Yeah. Yep. So what we do get is we get Conrad and Harry talking, and you can tell that Conrad, again, Pierce Brosnan, he really values what Harry thinks. That's Tom Hardy. And he says, "What do you think?" And he said, "I think we'll be fine for about 5 months."
Yeah.
That's probably
Yeah.
gonna.
Yeah. This is.
So
and
yeah, and then he tells a story about pruning trees.
I was just about to bring that up. He goes into this whole analogy of like trees and how they prune, and then eventually the apples, whatever, fall to the ground.
Yeah, and then they get entangled, and you have to prune the trees.
Like,
now,
okay.
I didn't have to be Batman to figure out what pruning trees meant, right? I think we're all on the same page. Like,
yeah.
These guys aren't making out alive.
Because he said it's up to you. He says your decision. Make it. He's like, all right. And he gets up, he goes, and that was it. This is the setting of the type of show you're gonna watch.
Yes,
because he goes down there and
he walks. Walking back down, he walks by two figures, and we'll get to know these figures a little bit better as time goes on. They hand him a pistol with a suppressor. They put earbuds in, or not earbuds, but earplugs. So you know what? I mean, come on.
Oh yeah.
You're in a small little area, and then
he says, "Change the plans."
Yeah,
that's it, and puts them all down.
Yeah, change the plans, and then we see. I don't know if we saw the girl, but the guy he kills everyone that's in the room.
Yeah.
Now, this is my gripe. I wrote it down. This is my gripe. Get ready, guys. This is where we're gonna leave a comment and go, my God, why can't you just like it?
Why can't you just like the show?
Automatic rifle, and they're behind all the bad guys. Harry and I don't know who the other guy was behind him. I want to say it was Paul. I think that's what his name was. I can't find him anywhere in here.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
They automatically mow down everyone. But they miss those guys. And then Harry pulls out his pistol. He shoots the two heady guys. Now, again, you're firing automatic weapons in the direction. You're going to spray everyone.
But I think this is just to get that scene to show that he's not just someone giving orders. He can get his hands dirty.
Small little gripe that he was there. Yeah. So he shoots the two of them. And that's when we see Conrad come back. Although the guy that was behind him, he plugs his ears like this.
Yeah. Well, see, that was funny. But also the question that I had with this is, aren't these two big gangs then? Because when Conrad, you were just getting into, he shows up and he starts stomping on one of the guys like half dead.
One guy that's still alive.
It's like, I don't want to, you know how many Turkish meals I had to eat. And so basically
10
saying
10 years, 20 something.
Yeah, 10 years or something. So then what I would like to know, and I mean, I'm not really jumping too far ahead, but it would have been great, some context here. It's like, even when Harry was giving the rundown, he could have just said, hey, you guys been feuding for X amount of time. We're trying to keep the peace, whatever. We don't know why, but it can't be too crazy that they just mowed down two rival gangs.
Yeah.
How do you just wipe out two gangs with no repercussions? Don't they have other members back home?
There's got to be a second in command, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like
so again, go back to, and again, I don't even know if I ever finished The Sopranos, but if someone would have whacked Tony Soprano, there would have been someone to step up and now want to take him out. Now maybe Conrad is just that big that it doesn't even matter until someone can move up the ranks. Like, let's say this Richie, then maybe that's the reason why he can do it. But I found that kind of odd too, because it was kind of like there's just going to be two more people. But right away,
they call him the governor, so maybe he's like the big boss of gangs. Yeah. You know, he is the boss. So it doesn't matter if he wipes out two other smaller gangs. It was done by the governor.
But right away, Conrad, he tells, I want to say the guy's name was Paul.
Oh, we'll just call him Paul until next episode. Maybe he'll get more.
So he shows up on IMDb.
Yeah, until they care about him.
Well, no,
if anything,
on IMDb,
that actor should be pissed. They're like, hey, where's my credit? Where's my credit?
And so he tells him that he has to go and take care of some stuff, and then he tells Harry, "Hey, go tell so and so." I actually wrote it down. Maltese, I think they have 24 hours to make their decision. Basically, if they want this slot.
Yeah, because they're going to make a new deal. They want to make some new deal. They want to divide up whatever operations that these two rival gangs were in control of, whether drugs, weapons, which we find out later on is the business of Conrad. It's fair game now. And to keep the peace, he's willing to that Maltese guy. I don't know if we see him on camera. in this.
No, I don't even know where Maltese came. I think they said Maltese. I mean,
He did say and it was on
okay.
the phone. He said, call him, let him know,
Yes.
let's work a deal. Because later on, when there's a gathering, he brings up the deal has been made, right? Like some 2 million or something like that. There's some crazy numbers. I
Yep.
wrote it down when I get to that point, but we know that that's it. But it's up to Harry. He's the cleaner to deal with this type of stuff.
Yep.
And
so right after that scene, we go right into the opening credits. I'm only bringing up the opening credits because it's the first episode, and again, a lot of opening credits are fairly boring, but they do showcase what the show is going to be about. Right? You go look at 1923. Right? We're seeing horses run, and you're seeing all the buffalo, Native American stuff like that. Here we see. I wrote that drugs, violence, and wealth. That is clearly what this is about. There's drugs, there's violence, and there's going to be wealth. No dancing. That was one of the shows where we were trying to figure out. I'm like, what is this one about? And I start reading it. I'm like, nope.
Man. Yeah, then after this, we're doing Chorus Line, the series. Yeah, that'll be fantastic. We have 10 subscribers. It will stay that way. In fact, we'll lose some. We'll only have us two.
All right. Man. So as soon as the opening credits end, we see two guys walking out of a club, and then we see two other guys walking up to them in the streets. They obviously know each other, and they just kind of come together, just chatting, whatever. And then we see them in a car.
They get into a cab, and now this part. It's not really a gripe, but man, like the cojones, I should say, that this guy has in this car. Here it is. We find out that there's two gang bosses. Their sons are in the car. We have Tommy, who is from the Stevenson gang. He's the Richie, who's the big boss of the Stevenson. He's his son. And then we have Eddie, who's the grandson of the governor, Conrad. And the dude that's in the car with them takes his phone out and takes a picture of both of them.
While they're doing blow.
Yeah, while they're doing blow. And you're going to take the picture. First of all, their families are like enemies. This is like constant enemy.
Yeah.
These guys should not be hanging out, and they definitely don't want proof that they're hanging out. And like you said, and doing drugs, and you take a picture. I mean, they don't think they really focus on who he is, because I'm like, oh, he must be of someone of importance to get away with doing something that dumb.
At least I didn't catch on to who Eddie was until we get further out.
Yeah, once we get to the mansion is when we find out.
Yeah,
who Eddie is. But
Eddie grabs the phone, drops it out.
He throws it out the window. That's it.
He says, "That's a new phone," and he hands a big wad of cash. And he said, "I think this should cover it."
But the other part is what the guy response when Eddie was like, "Why would you do that?" He's like, "It was just a joke." I think, how is that even a joke?
Yeah, I don't.
That's not funny, because all it takes, especially now with social media and all this stuff. Think about it. You take a picture on you click one button and it can distribute to four different.
That is why. Yeah. That is why so many things happen on social media, right?
Yeah.
That's why so much stuff happens. Why people that are cheating on their spouses are getting caught. Which I think is awesome, because I go back to Jaromir Jagr, who I don't know if you know who Jaromir Jagr is, hockey player.
Yes.
One of the greats. There is a picture of a girl taking a picture of her and him in bed while he's sleeping. And he laughed about it because he's not married. And he's like, she was going to try and extort money from him. He's like, yeah, good luck on that. I don't have any significant other.
Yeah,
you can't get nothing from me. All you just said was, hey, you know what? I sleep with hot chicks.
That's it. Exactly. Like, nobody cares that I'm here. No one's looking for me. Exactly. But so it was a dumb move on this guy's part. So the phone is now gone, but he's got a wad of cash. But man, this next scene, and once I saw this, I texted. I was like, whoa, this was now.
You texted me right when you texted me saying that I had just finished this scene. So they walk in this club, and is it safe to say this was a sex club?
It was a combination. It was like an
Yeah.
S&M. There was bondage. There was a live sex act taking
Yes.
place, but then there's
More than
also
a few.
people that were just hanging out at a bar drinking, which is
Yeah, they
also
kind of go upstairs,
yeah.
and then well, when he first shows up, he was only supposed to have a +1, and the bouncer told him,
Yeah.
"Hey, you only have a +1." He gives him a wad of cash.
Either with the
And then he gets,
Musketeers.
yeah, and then when he gets up there, walks past all the acts that are going on. Um, he runs into. I'm assuming this is the owner. They don't say if he's the owner. They just say he's the boss. He says you had one. He said, "Hey, come on, we're the Musketeers or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah,
something like
yeah,
that."
yeah.
Um, I think he paid him off too.
Something happened, but it was kind of dark. There was flashing lights, and what really draw the attention is what happens next. That he bumps into someone who has a
Yeah.
drink, and he gets wet. Guy makes a comment. He makes a comment back, a snarky remark. This is Eddie, and the guy says, "Oh yeah, all right." And then I am wet, and he looks like he's reaching for something like a knife in his back pocket.
Now we see his back pocket, and it doesn't look like he has anything in it.
Yeah,
But he is reaching back. And I gotta say, like, again, I don't drink. I've never drank in my entire life. I'm just gonna.
okay.
So, and again, I'm 49 years old, so I don't really go to clubs. But why do we live in a world that you accidentally bump someone? They get a drink on them. Someone can't just say, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Let me get you another drink." And everyone goes about their merry effing way. Right? Isn't that how
Well,
life is
it
supposed
it
to
it
be?
should, but in some places and also
I
in
know.
some cases
Oh,
where
I
some
know.
people like Eddie is a prick. We know this because he could have said
Yeah.
that. He's throwing money left and right. He just gave a wad to his buddy who's phony. He could have the guy's like, "Hey, I'm wet. Hey, no problem. Here's some money. The rest of the drinks tonight are on me," and walked away. Guy probably would have been happy with that. But no, he makes everyone, "Oh, look at you. You're wet." He starts throwing it in like little jabs. And then that's when the guy was like, "Hey, what? I will do this." And he backs up, "Oh, no, and that's going to happen." And then he takes his knife out, this is Eddie, and just stabs the dude right in the gut.
Yes. Now this is the thing, and this is what made this scene different than other scenes in other movies. He doesn't kill him. He doesn't go off. He stabs him, and then he runs away.
They all
Now,
run because the bouncers are
yeah,
chasing them. Yeah.
and Tommy pretty much goes, "Dude, what the hell are you doing?" Now everyone runs. Now I didn't. He like climbs up on top of him, like no one can climb up. Like I was
Well,
gonna understand that. You
I
Spider Man? Like you're the only one that can get up there?
I was wondering about that too, but I guess they couldn't go through the front door because of the bouncer and all the stuff. So they just kept going up and out of from the roof of the club and then just sliding down any way they can to get to street level, and they end up in the alleyway, or at least Eddie does. And then he sees Tommy that's there. And this is where I
Yeah,
even wrote this down.
so I don't know, like, where was Tommy at? Where were the other two people? But like, where was like Tommy was there? How he just ran into Tommy?
And I have a feeling that this is the mystery because I
Well,
think
yeah.
those are going to come to play
Oh,
later on.
that's what I meant to mention. I'm sorry. I gotta back up. We go to this club. This is the vampire club from the first Blade movie.
Oh, that's what this is?
I know. Have you seen Blade?
Yeah, I remember Blade.
Would you remember the big club and now the blood starts coming down and then Blade shows up where he's the only one that's like getting blood on him? That's what this place reminded me of. I was waiting for Blade to show up there. There's who played Blade in the original movie?
The original, was it Wesley Snipes?
Wesley Snipes. Wait. And then we have Eddie take his blade out, and he actually calls it a blade, and stabs the guy. I'm like, oh my God, this is.
Yeah, but the fact that he does it and he doesn't care, but then also you're thinking, well, don't they get searched for weapons going into a club like this? Clearly, Eddie didn't get searched.
Well,
and his crew.
I think it's kind of established. Like you're not going to. Well, this guy must have known who Eddie was.
Well, and we'll get to that part later on because they make it seem like they don't know. And they have to be informed.
Well, I mean, he knew Eddie was because, maybe he doesn't know who he is. Maybe he just knows him. Now, here's another thing that I'm thinking is that this might not be. Well, you know what? We'll talk about it when we get to it.
Yep. So I wrote that real quick. Something I wrote down here. Once Eddie is in the alleyway and he reaches out with Tommy and he pats him on the face like, "Oh, it's good you're here. Don't worry. Let's go. It's fine." And he took his knife and he chucks it into the stream, the river there, whatever that's there, just to get rid of that. He's like, "Come on, let's go." I got this. I wrote big brother, little brother vibe. The way he's treating him, at least the way Eddie's treating Tommy.
Yeah.
It's like, "Oh, don't worry about it. Oh, come on. You'll be fine. Everything is great." I don't know. There's got to be more to it.
It almost seems like Tommy knows what what their dads are into, what their families are into, and Tommy's trying to avoid as much trouble as possible. He's already hanging out with someone that he's not supposed to, right? He's already with somebody he's not supposed to. So, but that's kind of all we see. That's the last time we see Tommy.
That's it. And now, well, yeah, at least now from here on.
Yeah, so far.
Yeah, and then that it's now morning, and then we see back at the Conrad mansion. He's walks out with his dog. He's got security everywhere, and he's going fly fishing. Over at the river. Now, this was an interesting exchange because I thought that we were going to get more info. Not much, and I'm sure it'll trickle later. Because while he's there, someone comes into the house. His name is Archie. Is that his cousin?
They made it sound like no, he's his best friend growing up, but he may have been.
Oh, I thought because they called. Remember the Uncle Tommy, the pedo that we'll get into. He said, "Oh, he texted you the whole thing." It made it seem like he was a relative, also Archie.
Okay, but before that,
yeah,
Maeve comes down the steps and she's like, and this was foreshadowing. She's like, "Oh, I thought you died last week." And she's like, he's like, no, that was my brother. He's like, no, I know, I'm pretty sure it was you. I swear, I'm pretty sure Conrad told me you died. And then even like when she tells him like, well, you're gonna want to put on your waders or boots or whatever it is, and she's like, I swear you were dead.
Yeah, she gets like, you don't see this guy standing in front of you, and that's why I was just trying to figure out like his role because once he gets out there and he starts talking to him and. All right, you can get into one part of the conversation. One I just found interesting is that when he starts Conrad telling the story of his uncle, and Uncle Tommy, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I remember Uncle Tommy," and he was like, "Yeah," and then Conrad's like, "Yeah, well then he used to fiddle with me," and he's like, "What? Well, he didn't fiddle with me," and he's like, "Yeah, well, you weren't cute or something."
You weren't as good looking.
Yeah, you weren't as good looking as I was, and so that's why I thought it was either his brother or a cousin.
No, I think they're friends because he's like, "Do you remember my Uncle Tommy?" I think he said like my Uncle Tommy. Either way, we find out Uncle Tommy is a PDF file.
Yeah.
If you don't want to, just put those together. PDF file.
Yeah.
Words we can't say. YouTube doesn't like. I don't like them either because they're sick bastards.
Yep, he's gone.
So we get again. It gets brought up again later on, but more in a joking. In a joking way. So now we're back to the kitchen. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm over here trying to because then this is also where he finds out that a deal has been made with the other group.
So this is
25%, 10 mil. So everything is fine.
The whole fentanyl thing comes up.
Yeah, and that's I don't know.
The Stevensons are clearly the Stevensons. And is it the Mexicans? Now I don't know how Mexicans. I don't know how many Mexicans are over in the UK. Last time I checked, they border us.
I think it was a distribution, and that's what they was trying to say. That from what we understand, how Conrad was explaining it when they went into the kitchen, he's saying, "Hey, we just got this new deal, 25%, 10 mil agreement, and we're also going to expand out into fentanyl." And they're like, "Well, the Stevensons aren't a part of that. Bank them out. This is it. We're taking over because they have that deal with the Mexicans." We find out later when he does the family meeting, his new plan, again, assuming that the Stevensons are highballing or high charging the Mexicans for their fentanyl.
Okay.
And that he's going to come in and at a lower rate and they're going to squeeze out the Stevensons. Like that's what he says later on. Yeah. But in this scene, he makes it seem like, oh no, we're just going to muscle into that. And Archie's not cool with that.
Yeah, Archie's like, no, what if he's like, if they want a war, like, it doesn't sound like Conrad wants a war, but he also is not going to shy away from one.
Yeah, Conrad is okay with it, and I don't understand that. But again, we don't know the lay of the land in regards to the gangs. If anything, this show
Yeah.
would it would be great if we had like a Game of Thrones opening, where you see the different kingdoms, and we can see like the Turkish on the north side or whatever, and you see Conrad, the governor, and how much of a hold of land that he has. But anyway, either way, it does look like he is making a play to take over all illegal markets and doesn't care if he goes into war. So
Nope.
it's just to see Archie's concerned face. I don't think he's doing anything malicious, or that later on as they start assuming. I think it just seems like, hey, do we really need to get into that, especially with all the stuff with fentanyl that we know? And
It sounds like they're doing perfectly fine.
yeah,
Again, this is the type of thing that goes back to rich people want more, right?
Yeah.
No matter how much you have, you always want a little more. And that's kind of what we're getting from Conrad here.
Okay. Yep. But now the show picks up. Now this was setting something up, but then now it's like, all right, this is the gist of this episode, because at this point we find Harry, and he's over at the chop shop. Now we just mentioned her name. I know her as Jax, but what was it? Josiah?
No, Zosea.
Josiah. All right, I want to remember that. Josiah. So we see that she's good with cars and either hacking into the computer systems to unlock, do the quick start, but from her computer without having to use the key. And he was like, all right, he went to BMW. She's going to make some adjustments, do some stuff.
Getting a 75 horse out of it.
Yep. And then he gets a phone call. And it turns out that this is the governor's son who calls in. I don't remember his name. I thought I wrote it down. I did not.
Now, do we know what the governor is? The governor just a name for him? Or
I think I just think they call him the governor because he's like the boss of the gang. Because they refer to him as two things. They refer to him as, of course, Conrad, and then governor, right? But he says, my son Eddie came home. There's all this blood on his clothes. We don't know what's going on. He's like, all right, I'm coming over. I'm going to find out. Once he said that, and he gets over to the house, and he has that interaction with Eddie where he was like, all right, tell me everything. Tell me what happened. What? Some guy I stabbed him. What you do?
This is like right in front of the mom and dad.
Yeah, right in front of the mom and dad. He's like, oh, I dumped it in the drink, and this and this. And what club? Some club. Like, what's the address? I need to know this. And once he did this, and he said, all right, put all the clothes in a bag. Where's the shoes? What's Italian leather? He was like,
yeah. So he gives all the bags. He goes in the shoes too, and he said they're Italian. He said, good, you can wear them to court.
Exactly. We're court, but fine. He's going to get all this stuff and wrap it up. And right there, I paused. I'm like, oh, this is the wolf from Pulp Fiction. That's what he is.
Oh, now, okay, I see it. Especially now. But here's the other thing. He says he's at a club. He doesn't want to give it to him.
Mm-hmm.
So, he's going on. He's like, I think you know what my next question is going to be. So he gets his phone. He hands it to him. This is when he comes and gives him everything.
Boy.
And he says, what's your passcode? Did you write that down?
Yeah, 6969. Are you kidding me?
69.
And then now, even Harry looks up like, oh.
So this is what I thought. I might be completely wrong. I was wrong with talking Reacher or something. This was a gay club. That's why he didn't want to say what club it was. That's why he's with Tommy.
I thought that too. Like I was saying,
because of all the acts that were going on
and stuff. But I could have swore there was a woman in one of those where
there was
hanging up, and there was a guy, and so
there was the black guy that turned around and yelled.
Yeah. That was funny too.
But he didn't want to say what club it was. Why wouldn't he want to say what club?
Mm-hmm. So I gave him a plunge. I wrote that down too. I'm like, who says that? I mean, they were using all these terms that I'm sure they're relevant. I don't know how relevant now in England, but it was like, hey, I just gave him a plunge. I was like,
so quickly, Kevin is the dad,
that's it. Kevin is
Conroy's son.
Conrad's son. Yep.
Yeah, Conrad. Why is Conroy? Conrad's son. Belle is the mom. Who's a very nice looking woman. I'm just gonna say that.
She is. Yeah.
So that's Belle. So that's the mom, and
now
they all know what's going on. And then he gives her oat milk.
Yeah. Now I I thought they were trying to hint that it was like an innuendo for something else. Because
I
he was like,
thought,
"Yeah, I
yeah,
don't want this," and he's like, "Well, you could always hide it." Yeah, I guess he doesn't have to know, if you want to get some other milk,
yeah,
and it's like the way it was really quick. It wasn't a long back and forth with them because then that's when Eddie came in with the phone and he's like, "All right, what's the password?"
yeah.
Did the whole thing. But yeah, it was interesting, but they're not too surprised. Even the kid, the dad, Kevin, he was like, "This kid's gonna give me a heart attack." I'm
Yes.
sure, and from the way we've seen the way he acts, this is not out of character. It sounds like he's always getting into
Well,
trouble.
so the other thing that I had written down was I'm trying to think of when I wrote this down. Basically, this kid is the little shit that killed John Wick's dog.
Yeah, yeah,
He thinks he's untouchable. He thinks
yeah,
he can do whatever.
because of his family.
Like that was a total vibe that I got.
I mean, yeah, we've seen this type of character in so many shows. There's always one. There's always, whether it's you see them. And there was plenty of this, and remember, even in Game of Thrones, with the prince and stuff like that. There's always someone that's like this that feels that they have all this power and leeway just because of who their parent or grandparents are, and it looks like this is no different. So, but
Try not to choke.
don't choke, don't choke. Right, get some
Pop it
water.
down the wrong way.
I've had that. I remember when we started streaming before, I had hiccups. So I hear you. Happens. But so I'll jump into it. So Harry now drives over to the club. He gets there. There's some people like, "Hey, you can't come in here." He gives them some money. He's like, "Here, don't worry about it." Oh, okay then.
He just shows a badge. Like, no
He
one
showed
reads these badges.
Yeah, yeah. Was that badge? I thought he also gave him some money.
No, I
Was
thought
it
he
a
just
badge?
showed. Like, I
It was
think he
just
just
a
showed him
badge?
a badge, and
It was just
the guy just let him walk right in.
Oh, because I know once he gets up, because he was asking where the manager is, and then he goes upstairs and he sees the manager and starts talking. Says, "Yeah, I need to see your
Well, he
CCTV."
asked where the boss is, and that's why I said I don't know if this is the owner or like the manager. I tend to think he's the owner because he has access, but he is walking down the same hallway that Eddie and them were walking down. But obviously, there's nothing going on at this time.
Yeah, lights are all on. It looks like just a place. But he has to see the CCTV, as most people know, they should know. I mean, England is very watched. There's cameras everywhere. If you ever watch any UK show, any cop drama UK show, they always revert to, let's see, CCTV footage, and there's like a camera in every corner. So
yeah,
he
no, but yeah, we see that there's another guy behind him. He's obviously the bodyguard because he basically tells him who he works for, and he's like, "Yeah, anyone could say that."
Yeah, they still didn't believe him, and I get it. It's like, you got to show some proof. I mean, what do you take out a picture in your phone or something? What do you do?
Which this does explain that he wouldn't know who Eddie is, because if he would have known who Eddie was, he wouldn't have been questioning. Oh yeah, you're really here on behalf of the Harrigans, right?
Yeah.
He would have been like, "Oh shit, okay, yeah. What do you want?"
He takes his gun out.
Yeah, he convinces him to pretty much let him get whatever he wants. He said, "Hey, we can make this real easy for you," or, but he gets everything he needs. I like the bodyguard sitting there like this. It's like, okay, you can lay your hands down.
That's exactly, because he sees it. He sees what happened. He sees what takes place, and he's like, "Do you know this guy?" And then not only do they know him, he's not just a regular. He also sometimes works there.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh,
So he calls him.
Yeah, Huey Campbell or something like that. They were like, yeah, it's like, oh, so where is he now? Oh, let me give him a call. Like you said, he calls him. He's at the hospital. He's like,
What do you think I'm doing? I got a knife in me.
Right? He said, don't worry, chocolates are on the way or something like that.
That was a total reacher line right there. Like,
oh yeah, definitely a reacher line. It was like, yeah, and then the guy's still talking. He was like, what's gonna happen? He's like, all right, that's it. That's all. What hospital? I need to know the hospital. So he gets information, and that's it. And then this is where Harry, again playing like Wolf from Pulp Fiction, he's the fixer, and it's even labeled that on IMDb. They have him listed, quote unquote, the fixer. He solves these type of issues because now he has the context. He gets in his car. Let's see, he calls somebody who works at the hospital.
First, we see Jan. First, we see his wife.
Oh yeah, there was that
right
wife.
Now has very little. I mean, I didn't understand, but she's obviously going to counseling.
I was confused by this.
I
That's
was
why I
too.
put this in question mark because I
Not
don't.
until we get to the point where his daughter's like, apologize. Say
Yeah.
you're sorry. He's like every other man. I don't know. Why am I
I
apologizing?
was like, what I miss? What I miss? Yeah, but the reason why I threw this like in the question mark area is because I was trying to figure out, did this happen before or after the scene that when you just said with the daughter when Harry comes home?
It's before he calls because that happened. It's real quick too. But then I have that. Then Harry calls one of his police. It's actually D.S. Lehman Cross.
Yeah, somebody that
Detective Sergeant.
was, and that person knew that two officers were en route to the hospital to talk to Huey, and then he calls Alice, or I think I wrote her name Alice. It was another person who works at, Alice. I wrote Alice. She must work at the hospital, owes him a favor or something like that, right? Or maybe it's not. Alice is the one with the wine.
Yeah, so what we do see is that when he does call, it's DS Liam Cross. It's showing that they have their hands in some police officers at least, because this is DS, which is Detective Sergeant.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, he definitely has some info, and he knows that once he gets to the hospital, there's even a nurse there that was like, "Oh, you're good friends with so and so." Now, I wrote Alice, but I don't think that's correct. Hey, go ahead, put in the comments if you remember, because this person never popped up on camera. This is all offhand. This is on the phone, just talking, and someone making a hookup that's giving
she
him
is an
access to
IMDb
Huey.
though.
Oh, see, more than Tommy. So I guess
Emily Barber.
There we go. So there you go, Annie. So he goes in, he closes the door behind, and it's not a private room. It's a shared room. You can see it's pretty long. There's a bunch of other beds, people moaning and stuff. And he basically tells the guy who he is, what he's there for. And that guy's panicking now. He's like, oh, no.
Yeah.
Don't worry. No, this will be good. This is going to be fine. I just need you to forget everything. Forget what. Do you ever take drugs? Do you ever get high? Yeah. Good. That's what you're going to tell the police. You're going to tell them that you were high. It was dark. You didn't see anything. What? He said, oh, if you don't, you know what's going to happen? We're going to find you. Either I'm going to do it, my friends, or something. If I'm busy, and then we're going to reopen that wound right there. That's what we're going to do. Do you want that?
Yeah, he's like that. Yeah, that's not a cut. That's not.
Yeah. No, that's not a stab. He said, that's not a stab.
Yeah.
He said, if I would stab you, you would just be dead. That's just nothing.
Now, what I'm liking so far is that we see a lot of other shows or movies where they just will kill the person. Like, they know they can't just leave a trail of dead bodies.
Yeah.
So to me, it's more realistic, and I guess I don't live in the mob world, but it's more realistic where, like, you just need to shut people up and be like, hey, we're going to make it worth your while. Like, first off, you ain't going to die. Like, we're not going to end your life. But let's be, it makes more sense to not just leave a trail of bodies.
Yeah.
Right?
I thought he was going to slip a little wad of money under his pillow. It's like, good, this is for your troubles or to pay your medical bills. Because if anything, that is a bill he's still gonna have to pay.
Well, I don't know how their health.
Oh, actually, you know what? You're right. They might have free healthcare. Hey, I think so. I think it's okay. I think they're one of.
But after this is, I've never seen this before. Maybe someone else has. Now we're at the funeral home.
This very interesting.
I thought this was awesome. So now we see them. He has the bag of clothes, including the shoes, and the coroner is opening caskets, and this is clearly after the. I guess it must be closed caskets, right?
Yeah, closed caskets. They must have already had the
viewing.
The viewing. Yeah, they must have already had it, so they know they're not opening up these caskets again. Next step is 6 feet under.
But don't you normally go from the viewing, closing, and then go to the? I don't know.
I don't know.
But this is, they put in there the closed casket or whatever, shoes closed. No one's ever gonna find it.
No, that's it.
It's buried. It's not burnt. It's not like what. Now, come on, like, someone's done this before. Like, there must be.
I'll tell you this one. That's a very creative way to dispose of bloody clothes because I've never seen that method. Of course, like you just
I,
mentioned, I've seen it burned. I've seen it. They put a hole somewhere in a backyard, yeah, or something
yeah,
like that, or dump it in a
that's where I'd put.
dumpster.
I mean, I don't do this type of stuff, but I don't think I'd put it in my backyard.
Yeah, yeah, no, but this was definitely a unique way to dispose of these materials. Put it in a casket
So
that's going into the ground.
then, once again, going to the coroner or whoever works in the, I guess the pallbearer, right? The pallbearer.
Yeah, yeah, Paul Bear at the funeral home.
I only know that because of wrestling.
Oh, well, Paul Bearer was a Paul Bearer in
I
real
know.
life. Yeah, yeah. So great
Um,
documentary on him too out there.
so that's just saying that this guy is also working with them. So you're seeing that they got their hands in police. Now they have a pallbearer that they work with that clearly helps hide stuff. Um, their network is pretty vast.
Yep, yep. Let me see
Now
what.
the next
And
thing
then
we see. Oh, I'm sorry. Go on.
no, that's it. I think this is your scene. This is it. This is the part you were talking about. This is when Harry gets home, right? And then with the daughter, we see Jan there because that was the
Nope.
weird part. No, because then we see the Jan.
No.
without-
This is when Zoran and Richie. Zoran's yelling at Richie that she doesn't know where Tommy is.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
She wants her son found. Like
That's right.
and that's when you see Richie kind of making a couple calls. He's
He
not.
first he
happy.
blows it off. Yeah, he first blows it. He's probably with a girl. He's probably hanging out. He's a young man, but she says this is not like him. So he starts making some calls, trying to figure it out. And then his buddy finds out that he was at this club. He goes to the same club that we were just talking about, and he pays off the bouncer because that's another one who just dropped some money. Because the guy was like, I didn't see anything.
Yeah.
You know how many people I see? I was like, all right, what about this? You see this? And next thing he finds out and says, hey, good news, bad news. Good news, he was here. Bad news, he was hanging out with Eddie.
Yeah. So this is basically what I wrote down. This guy is pretty much the dipshit that killed John Wickstock. This is what I realized. Like, this is, I mean, come on. This is what this guy did, right?
But yeah, this is where it gets very tricky because I think this is the part then. Yeah, because I splice this into my notes because I still wasn't too sure with because it was two segments with Jan. There was one with the call where she was trying to reach, Harry while he's doing all the stuff, and then the second where she's done with the therapy session or outside, and then another woman comes out. They sit down, they talk about it. They think it's all BS because she says that while she was laying and she saw that the therapist, whatever, was playing Candy Crush. And then the girl was like, hey, the other one, Alice, that's what I wrote down. She said, hey, you think it's too early for some wine? But then shortly after, we see they're back at the house and Harry's there. And then the daughter is, I guess, getting quizzed or maybe preparing for a quiz for a test or something with the mom, Jan.
Yeah.
So that's when you can put two and two together that Jan is Harry's wife.
Yes, which we didn't really know at the time. But right before that, we do have Richie calls Kevin. So now we have Richie, who's head of something, and now we have Kevin, who's the son of obviously Conrad, and he's not too happy. And Kevin pretty much is like, dude, if I remember correctly, the words were "see you next Tuesday." I didn't say the words because you, as much as they like to use that word,
yeah,
you next Tuesday, YouTube does not like that.
Yeah. Well, most people get offended when they hear these things, but you can fill in the blank. He does. He calls them something. He calls them a name.
That word is used an awful lot in this. We're going to try not to use it.
Yeah.
And they pretty much go back and forth. Basically says that, dude, my son doesn't want to have anything to do with your son. He's a CUNT. If I remember correctly, that's the words that he used. So
he's like, no, they would never. They don't hang out. That's not a thing.
So this is where we see the dynamic of Harry walking in. Jan is quizzing their daughter Jenna. Mm-hmm. Is it Jenna?
Gemma.
Gina.
Yeah,
maybe
Gina.
It's Gina. Jenna. I don't know. Someone tell me in the comments that just watched it. They're like, I need to find something. And I thought this was pretty funny because she's so mad at Harry that she's not even paying attention to what her daughter is doing. And she writes on the note cards, say sorry. Mm-hmm. And he's like, for yesterday. So he's like every other man that has ever been in a relationship with a woman. I'm also going to assume any other man that's been in a relationship with a man, because there's always got to be one side that's like, I don't know what I did wrong.
Yeah, there's always someone who's
Doesn't
clueless
matter.
to the whole thing. But what's crazy with this, and I was like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that, is when he's like, hey, we could let's squash this, we'll figure it out. I'm sorry, the whole thing. And she says, no, we need to go for counseling. We need to bring somebody. It's like, why get somebody else involved? No, we just need to. She took out her phone. She had recorded the fight. That was, and I first I was like, oh no, are we going to see it? Like, was it video? Did he get abusive? Is he an
Yeah.
alcoholic? That type of thing? And he blacks out. But it didn't sound like that. It didn't seem like
No,
it was just a fight. They were having an argument over something, and she just recorded it.
now we don't know if she knows what he does either.
Yeah.
Which to me, it sounds kind of like she doesn't, or else she wouldn't want him to go to counseling, because that's stuff that obviously even to a counselor
You
he
can't.
talk about. So you can't resolve anything that way. Clearly, and again, all we heard was a fight. We didn't see this on screen, and it didn't sound like it was violent. It didn't seem like he was beating her or anything like that. So we can still like him.
Yeah, exactly. So we don't know, but it doesn't seem too crazy with that, especially the way the daughter was reacting. I would think that if he was that type, the daughter probably wouldn't want to talk to him, wouldn't be sending little messages. You know what I mean? Like trying to be playful with that. I think she would be a little scared of him. Because then usually when people do that where they black out, those are the scary ones. You don't know what's going on afterwards. But he gets a call during all this, and this is where he's told
right in the middle,
right in the middle of this.
Nothing is going to make your wife, girlfriend, that mad that you're arguing about your argument, and then you get a call and you say, "I have to take this."
Yeah.
You might as well just say, "Can you settle down?
Exactly.
Calm down."
Now this is where I'm going to ask you, because I was like, I should have went back, and it wasn't now until I'm reading my notes. I'm like, shoot, I should have, because this is when he finds out. It's like, hey, listen, you need to find out more with Eddie, because we found out that Tommy Stevenson's son, Richie Stevenson, his son Tommy, is missing, and he was last seen with Eddie. Now, clearly Eddie didn't say anything about this, but he's missing now. So he's like, you need to find out. Go talk to him. Get more info. And he was like, all right. So then he calls up. He talks to the parents. Says, hey, let him know I'm on my way. Talk to him. What's he doing? He's like, oh, he's just laying in bed. He's like, ask him, did he hang out with Tommy?
Yeah.
And this is how we know he's full of it, because he said no. He lied. So the question I have for you, and this is why I was like, I just reading it now, I was like, I wanted to go back. I wrote, look back at that scene. When he looked at the CCTV footage, do you see Tommy in that scene? When the guy's getting stabbed?
No, because he's probably not looking for Tommy.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm just wondering if we missed it, because we're not looking for him. Was he there? Because then
I did not notice it. But if you remember, he bumped into him and he moved away. So he was on the other side of where Tommy was.
Of where the camera
was behind them. Was it behind the three guys? If I remember correctly. So yeah, I don't remember, but now I'm thinking, I wish I would have went back. And to see if he was on the CCTV.
Because I was like, oh man, because maybe later on he would go back and take a look. It's like, well, because he's not looking for him either. He's looking for see Eddie and who he stabbed. He's not looking. He didn't know anything about Tommy being there. And maybe that's one of the things that would come up. It's like, oh wow, he's there with his white T-shirt. That's one thing that did stand out. He's the only one with this bright white T-shirt. So, and everything is dark, so he definitely stood out.
But he wasn't looking for him. So if you're not looking for someone,
you're not going to see
it. Especially if you're specifically focused on something else.
Yep. At this point, that's when he was like, all right, forget it. I gotta. He hangs up. He looks at his wife, says, let's go counseling. Do it, whatever. Monday? No, not Monday. I'm busy. Thursday, busy. No, you know what? Just book it. Just book it. I'll show up. And she was like, when pigs fly. He's like, no, I'll really show up. Everything is going to be fine. We're going to fix this. You got to give him credit for that. He wants to get fix his marriage. He probably is going to forget, or something. I mean, he's a gangster, so anything could come up.
I found it odd that episode 2 is called "I Miss Counseling Again." I mean, so
again. There we go.
So now we have Harry. He calls Eddie. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Harry calls Conrad, and Conrad says, uh, basically tells him to figure out what's going on.
yep. And I think he said, did he say it or did I'm pretty sure it was Conrad. He said, I set up a meeting for you and Richie at Moody's. Right, because he said he had to go to Moody's, and
because Moody's is clearly it's the
neutral ground.
place.
Neutral ground for
Nothing
gangs.
happens.
To me, they have to put up $50,000 each. I guess like if something happens, they lose the money. It's one of like a swear jar, but for gang activity. So,
but he tells them, you see anything, you take care of them.
You take care of him.
It doesn't matter what. You can tell that no matter what, of all the people, even his own family, Conrad trusts Harry more than anyone.
Yeah. That and Maeve. As we get into the last scene, man. We'll get to that last scene because
he does trust her, but he also kind of snaps at her too.
Oh yeah, that's why. That's what I'm saying. It's like he's like relentless. I don't know. But
so let me see Harry calling his team.
Mm-hmm. Josiah. See, I'm trying to say it so I can remember. I can't pronounce it.
Josiah.
All right, gotta remember that. And his other buddy, and he says, I need some deliveries or something like that to affect her.
So I thought it said his name was Darren, but I think it's Kiko. I'm a little confused with all these because on the other, I told you for some odd reason, IMDb looks different on my laptop for some reason than my computer, and I thought it said Darren. So he tells him, you bring big and short weapons. And we see he's got a little arsenal.
Oh, yeah. This dude's ready for war.
Yeah.
He's ready for war. Yeah. They pack it up. They head to the site. And then before Harry goes in, he basically says, hey, if I come out and I pat my front pocket, then you know what to do. Then you make it, give him the good news. That's what he wrote. Give Stevenson the good news.
At first, I thought this was kind of weird. Now, maybe I didn't see it properly. I'll tell you if you caught this. When Harry's explaining, like, why wouldn't they see him? But it seemed like when Harry was telling them, it was earlier in the day. Like they'd been sitting there for a while because when Harry goes in, it's getting dark. Yeah. And then when he comes out, it's completely dark.
I thought maybe they got there earlier before Stevenson. Yeah. And that's it. So that way they can get in place. But they weren't too far away. I mean, I'm sure Stevenson had his own people. It's pretty obvious that there's some shady people,
so.
In the parking lot.
You would think so. But again, he went in himself where Conrad had Harry go. So you're already seeing that there's a difference here, right?
Yeah.
This wasn't Conrad meeting up with
but to your point there, once they do sit down, it almost seems like Stevenson wish he had Harry or someone like Harry for him.
Oh yeah.
He was like, yeah, you're on the wrong team. He's like, I respect you. You're smart. You're loyal. And what do you think of me? And he basically drops the Tuesday. Yeah.
He was the one that said, I think you're see you next Tuesday. This one.
Yeah. He was like, yeah, no, I don't feel the same. No, I don't even play that game with me. So I was like, oh, okay, whatever. But he cuts that and basically says, hey, where's my kid? I want to know where my kid is. And that's the question. No one knows where this kid is.
And that's a huge thing. You're right. Nobody knows. And Eddie clearly isn't telling you. And I think that we're going to find out that Eddie. It sure seems like Eddie did something.
Yeah, something is definitely shady going on here. Nothing gets resolved in the end result here. Besides,
and what we do find out is Moody is Chubbs from Sons of Anarchy.
Yep. And he runs this boxing ring area safe location. He basically is also a referee in this because once they start getting a little snippy with threats, and he's like, hey, remember, no threats. That's why we got the money here. So I guess if someone attacks the other one, they instantly lose their money. But I would think you lose more than that. You probably lose your life because if let's say Harry gets attacked, he's got his two associates in the car. They're gonna just open up shots on everybody. Yeah. So, but
Well,
anyway,
clearly the one guy he has a sniper, so
yeah,
you would assume he has some sort of training with it.
yeah. He didn't just figure this out yesterday. Yeah. You don't
Yeah.
bring that. If like I think I know how to use this. Look down the scope. I'm pretty good at Call of Duty. Did I tell you that? Here we go. I think I
Well,
could pull this off.
but Harry walks out. He calls Conrad. I felt kind of. He walks out. He puts the buds in, and he calls Conrad right away. Now, to me, if I'm, and again, they weren't right behind him, right? Richie wasn't walking right, but I've been like, why are you making a call already? He just walked over to the side, and he basically said, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
And as he's on the phone with him, this is where Maeve walks in. He tells him to shut the door. And this is where we find out what stick or twist means.
Yeah. And this is why I think he really was, because he kept asking. He was like, "Oh, okay, what's going on?" And then he was like, "Hold on, May, what do you think about this?" This is he's waiting, and then there's a countdown, and then this tension situation. Harry's like, "Well, he's like 10 seconds away from his car, 9 seconds from his car." You see the associates in the car with the scope and everything waiting. They're like, "All right, are we gonna do this? Are we gonna pop this guy? Is this gonna happen?" And Conrad, he's not making the decision. He's looking at Maeve.
Yeah.
She just says, "No, stick."
Yep. And this again, I didn't know what stick or twist. I've never heard that.
I've never heard stick and twist. When I saw that in the title, I figured that had to do with the stabbing. And then when I saw the stab, I'm like, oh, okay, but he didn't twist it. He just stuck it.
Yeah.
So I thought that's what that reference, but it did not. And so the guy gets in his car. Harry looks at his people, gives a little, shake of the head, and they're like, "All right, it's not happening. Let's go." So that's I don't know. That was an interesting.
And then when Conrad asks Maeve about it, Maeve says, "Well, I want to be there.
Yeah.
I want to be there when it happens. Don't you, like something like, don't you also?"
Yeah.
Clearly she knows everything. She might even be the main person behind everything.
Yeah, and that's
like
why.
In 1923.
Yeah.
She's the brains.
She is definitely the brains, and he does run everything by her. And most people do when you're married. It's like, all right, my wife makes these decisions, but these are serious life or death decisions, and this can cause all kinds of consequences with gang warfare and stuff. This is not just popping off some guy who's pissing you off. This guy is a boss. He's a big boss, and I would think there would be some repercussions if you just take him out during a cordial meeting at the safe location in the parking lot. That should break some rules, but hey, whatever. But the next scene is the big one, right? This is the final big act. This is where we are introduced to a lot of characters. A lot of characters here.
And all the family, for the most part. So we see all of a sudden they're downstairs outside. Conrad is meeting with his
son,
daughter, which is Sorfina.
Yeah.
I was like,
that's the one.
Adopted?
I guess, but that's the one that's from the Star Wars.
Oh,
she was the lieutenant in the Skywalker one that we were just talking about.
I hate that movie.
Yep. Well, there you go. She was in that one. She was in that one because I was like, I saw him. Like, I know you from somewhere.
Okay. And then we see Brendan, right?
Yep. We see Brendan.
So that's his other son.
His other son.
And then Kevin shows up. Obviously Kevin is Eddie's father.
And this is why I was saying that I thought this guy was his brother or his cousin, because Archie shows up again.
Yes. Now, I'm also confused on why O'Hara Delaney is there. Who the hell is O'Hara Delaney? She was the blonde.
Yeah, I don't.
What am I missing? Of who
is she? Is she the other son's wife or something? Because she doesn't have the last.
Because they made reference. Maeve makes reference, if I remember correctly, to her being there.
She's a lawyer, right? Didn't they say something about a lawyer? You always need
Yeah.
a lawyer at something or the event or whenever there's something going on. They've made some reference of a lawyer on. I'm thinking
I'm gonna
it.
have to go back and watch it. I'm gonna have to go
Yeah,
back and watch that and
we're
just
gonna
see
have to see
exactly.
that.
So
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out why. But anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
so this is where he's telling his whole big plan. Conrad is the kids and everyone are sitting there. He's telling the big plans, how they're getting the fentanyl.
They currently make $2 million a week, but that's what they make just from their current operations of selling drugs and guns. This is when it gets addressed and announced. Now it's official. We know they run gun and drugs.
Yeah.
And
now Maeve has already told Conrad, you got to watch out. You say the F word, which is fentanyl. All right. That's when Archie starts acting differently.
yeah, watches his eyes or something. Watches his face change.
So yes, he brought it up a couple times. He said that, and Archie started asking the question, and that's when Conrad said he has to go take a piss, and he leaves. And this is when you just saw how sick Maeve can be. Because she looks right at him and says, you were a better ass licker than a traitor. And he's like, what do you? And she did not let off. She just,
oh yeah. Mm-hmm. She's like, how much are they paying you? And see, what? No one's paying me. I mean, because even before that, once Conrad had mentioned the fentanyl, he did the trigger, and we did see Archie take a step back. But then when Conrad pressed him on it, what? We got something to say about it? It's like, oh no, you know what? Forget it. Don't worry about it. But I really think it's coming from he just doesn't want to deal with fentanyl. I don't think it has anything to do with.
That's what I was thinking. Why put yourself in another position to get caught doing something when we're bringing in enough money?
Yeah.
Like, we don't need more. But again, it all goes back to the whole, everyone always wants more. It doesn't matter if it's you, if it's me, if it's Jeff Bezos, right? Everyone always wants more. And I got the same feeling you did, that he wasn't a traitor. And I have a feeling that as the series go on, we're going to find out that he had nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
He just didn't want to get involved in fentanyl. Why would you? You're making enough money.
Yeah, and it's risky. I mean, they didn't go into it, but we know about it. We hear in the news. It's like just a wrong dosage of that kills people instantly. So why even take that chance?
So here we hear the stick and twist once again. But this time we don't get stick.
Nope. You get twist.
And not through the head, but he puts a bullet through his heart so they can show it. They don't have to go overly aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
But as he's sitting there and he pulls that trigger, the whole family is absolutely more. And you know what's going to happen because Maeve gets up because she doesn't want to be next to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the whole family and the other girl.
The family and the family friend.
Yeah, the family friend that's like, whoa, because you guys have really good chicken noodle soup.
Right. And tea and biscuits.
Yeah. And so there he pulls the trigger. And this is where you see instant regret. You see that this is Conrad's childhood best friend. And I think that's why I think going down the road, whether it be this season or upcoming seasons, we're going to find out that he didn't have anything to do with it. This is going to be something that's going to eat on Conrad throughout the series.
It was such a rash decision too, just pull. I mean, I beat him.
Why not find out for sure?
Yeah, interrogate him, do something just to end his life because your wife said twist. That's it. And like you said, the instant regret. You see it on his face. Yeah. He's about to break down in tears. That's why he goes upstairs. She puts her hand on his hand. He's like, shakes it off his head. He's like, leave me alone, woman, or something like that.
He said, don't fucking touch me. Something like that.
He was, yeah.
Sorry about this, my F-bomb.
There you go.
He was, but she understood, but she didn't seem to it wasn't like, don't talk. Like, she pushed him.
Yeah.
And now
So,
he is I don't know if he's regretting that he did it, but he's regretting that he had to do it. And I think that's why we're
yeah.
going to find out he didn't have anything to do with it, and this is where regret's going to lead into it. And well, I guess we'll find out because that's the end of the episode.
That is the end of the episode. It just ends. It didn't give any lead in or anything, but this is good because we have a lot of things. So what do we have in motion? We know, boom, Eddie is a liar, straight up liar. We know he spent time with Tommy. Tommy's missing. Also the blood, all the clothes on the blood, that's gone. But here's the thing: all that blood couldn't have come from Huey from that stab. So then this points that he must have done something to Tommy to have all that blood on him.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, because that's when I was thinking. I was like, well, he stabbed him and then he moved away. And then next, they were on the run. But then when you see the blood, because remember the mom said, the dad, Kevin said he showed up. He's got all this blood on him. And I'm like, why would there be so much blood? He didn't fall on him or anything. It wasn't like it was spewing out. So I don't know.
Watch that.
Yeah, so I think that's a big part of it, and of course, this is all coming back to Harry because he is the fixer. He has to solve this mystery. So we have a mystery of the Tommy situation, but at the same time, we have Conrad who's just looking out to take over all the gangs, just wipe them all out if he can, so he can be the ruler of everything.
He is the Vince McMahon.
Yes.
Getting rid of ECW, WCW.
Yes, take over everybody, put them all under his
You know how that ended.
Yes. With UFC taking over and buying everybody. I don't know. But still, it was definitely wild, but it's good. I'm interested. And
I'm very interested.
Yeah, and that's the point of these shows, right? They throw in a bunch of stuff. Not everything is so in your face and obvious. There is a mystery here. So yeah, it's a crime drama of this gang warfare, and the namesake MobLand. We're seeing mobs doing all this stuff, but it's a mystery, a real mystery, and we have a criminal who's playing detective.
I didn't see any. I didn't. Maybe you can tell me. Did you? I didn't really notice any fillers. I thought everything was leading up to like. I thought everything was leading up for a specific
filler, and it's with Jan and the Alice. What is that?
Well, maybe there'll be a payoff for that after.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that's why it's like they did that scene for a reason. Yeah. And with the drinking the wine, and it's like because they'll become besties. Who is that woman, Alice?
Yeah. And Guy Ritchie is the one that's doing this. Like he is the director.
Oh yeah, that's right. Guy Ritchie.
And Guy Ritchie has done some really good stuff.
The Gentleman.
The Gentleman. That's the one that I was trying to think of, which was an amazing TV series.
That's coming back. Season 2. That's coming.
Oh, that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
So, I like what it did. It set things up. It wasn't like, oh my God, they just kill off everyone that they don't need or that's in their way. Yeah. There's a method to the madness. It wasn't focused solely on Harry. We got to see everyone. We got introduced. We kind of got to see at least who's going to be the main players as of right now. So,
yes. So there you go, people. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you. Please subscribe, follow. This is new for us. This will be new for you. As you see, we're going to be covering a lot of shows. Maybe not some of the bigger ones that some other sites are covering, but that's fine because these are shows that we like to talk about. They're more serious, toned, serious crime dramas. That's fun. We like to hear about these things, especially when they're different takes and stuff like this. It's great. It just makes your mind think. What I'm really happy with this show is that we didn't get a typical, I want to say, some of these UK crime dramas, they'll always do like the slow roll, like slow walk and real witty remarks and stuff. No, none of that. They were playing it real serious with a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And I didn't want to say this. We're an hour and almost 19 minutes into it. Every episode's not going to be the song. We kind of had to explain what this new channel is, why we're doing it. So normally these go about an hour.
Yeah, we want to respect the time.
We don't like to make it longer than the episode.
Yep, that is correct. So a typical, we're going to get it into an hour. So that way you have your time, just do a little bit here, get it covered, boom, boom, and you're out. But like you mentioned, we had to do a little opening intro, let you know what we're about, what to expect from the channel. And hopefully you guys are cool with it, guys and gals, everybody.
And if you're here, please leave a comment, subscribe, hit that like. It helps out because you don't want to miss the next episode that we're going to drop, which will be probably next Sunday.
Yeah, next week. That's it. Every week. That's great. And so another thing, we're not a fan of these binge drop shows. We do like a lot of these type of shows, but to cover it's not fun that way because then you're cramming everything, So, but there are some shows that we do watch like that, and that's where the finales come in, where we'll eventually find some time, and then we'll just do a quick rundown of everything that we saw from that and what we thought and our thoughts. We can share with you guys. But thank you. So, yeah, have a good week, everybody, and we'll see you next week.
All right, take care, guys.
Yep.